Hi, I'm Leeza,
And I'm Liv, and this is the Balanced It Girl podcast.
where you can listen to open and honest conversations about the balance between finding your inner it girl, even when shit is falling apart.
Woo! Okay. Wait, how should we start it?
I don't know. How long has it been since we've podcasted?
That's such a good question. It's been years for me. What about you?
I guess technically, yeah, I stopped like the last day of 2021, so it's only been like 7 months or so, but it feels like a lifetime ago.
I know. I missed it. This feels so weird. I mean, this is all like new equipment for me, so I feel like super official right now, and I'm just so
I
excited.
know.
I was like a little nervous before we got on to do this though, because I'm like, did I lose my groove? Am I gonna like be able to get back into it? But you
Right.
sent me the best message right before this. I voice noted you and was like, should we push it off again? And you were like, no, we should do this. And it's just a conversation between friends. Like, it doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be this super professional thing. And I think like that's kind of why we wanted to start this. It's like we want people to feel like they're just sitting down having a conversation with us. And that took all the pressure off for me. So now I'm just excited.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, I know. I feel like it has been something that we've been pushing off for a really long time. And it's like, I just know that we both want to do this. So, like, let's just start, like, let's just do it. So I'm excited. Should we, like, tell everyone how this came to be?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah. Okay, you start. You start because I feel like I don't even know where to.
Okay. Well, we've been podcast. Let me go back. Let's like go all the way back. When did we even meet? We met on Facebook, and I don't even know. It's like so weird. Okay. We became friendly on Facebook, but I like don't know why. Oh, I think it's because
I
we
think it
had
was because of,
podcasts.
yeah, we both had podcasts and we were in like a Facebook group for a podcast, I think. And I think one
Yes.
of us posted in there like, hey, I just started a podcast. Does anyone else like have any advice or know anything? And then,
Promoting ourselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we were promoting ourselves. And then the other one commented and was like, hey, I have one too. Like, let's connect. And then I think we
Yeah.
asked to like be on each other's podcasts. And then you have done so many fun things with like your circle that you do, and so we've just stayed connected through a lot of different areas, but we have so many similar interests, and I think that's
Yeah.
why we've always stayed connected. And I've always been drawn to you because you've always said things like you always wanted to be a TV show host or like do something in entertainment, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel the same way. Like, I just love having a microphone and just talking, and I've never had someone to do that with, so I just am so excited to do this with you.
I know. I feel the same way. And it's like, I remember when we were both podcasting, we had our own podcast that we were solo hosts of, which is so hard back when podcasting wasn't even popular. And I always just like loved your show and like just loved your vibe and personality. And yeah, we've just stayed like so close ever since. And I feel like I've supported you and you've supported me. And then I feel like when this year came around, we were just like still so drawn to each other. Like, okay, we should connect. Like, we should actually do something together because I feel like the both of us, it's just going to be amazing. So
I
love
know.
it.
I know. And I remember thinking whenever we first connected, like this was months and months and months ago, but I had this random thought that kept coming to me, and it was like, reach out to Leeza, reach out to Leeza. And I kept pushing it off. I was like, that's so weird, Olivia. Like, what are you going to even ask her? Because I just kept thinking like, I want to do something with you, but I didn't know what. And then I reached out to you finally. I was like, I don't know what you would want to do together, but I feel like some project, because we're both entrepreneurial, we both like manifestation and personal development. We're the same age. We're in like the same kind of era of our life. And you were like, that's so weird because I went to Dana, who is like, I don't know, would you say that she's like a medium
Yeah.
or like an intuitive person?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So someone that Lisa goes to, and she's told you that you were going to like do a collaboration with someone or something. And you were like, that's so crazy because I had just gone to her. And so it just felt like it was aligned and like meant to be.
Yeah, it was totally meant to be. And it was exciting because I feel like, and again, we feel so similarly. Like, we've always had these ideas, but no one to really kind of work with or like bounce them off of. And no one else who had the same kind of goals to like do a show or just things like that. So like we've all just always just had the same goals. And I just think it's so cool that, I don't know, kind of the universe brought us together to do this. So
I'm
excited.
so excited. It'll be so good. I'm so excited. And I want people to like resonate with us. Like I really, like you were saying earlier, I want it to just feel like a fun, relatable conversation. And the goal is that we're going to share like the ups and downs of like our lives, what we're going through, finding balance in life. We can talk more about like the
Yes.
name of our podcast. And yeah, I think a lot of girls in their 20s will be able to relate to this, or people in general. Like I think it's going to be super relatable, and the goal is that we can kind of form a community of people who are going through the same phases in their life and can relate to what we're going through.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you just had a birthday, Cancer
Yeah.
season. Happy belated. So now you're 27. Wait, you're 26, right? Or 27?
27. Yeah,
Yeah.
27.
So welcome to the 27 club.
Woohoo!
So I just feel like it's such a good time to talk about our, like, basically like our subject matter is about like finding the balance in life, because I just feel like this part of your late 20s is so confusing, and trying to like navigate, like, just your 20s in general is so confusing, but getting to the end of it and kind of having that pressure that comes up of like really adulting and like getting into your 30s, I just think it's the perfect time to really start this and like share what's on our heart and what's on our mind and like what we're going through, you know? So
Yeah.
it's just the perfect time.
I
Divine
totally agree.
timing.
It really is divine timing. And even if there are people listening in like their early 20s or teens, like I think we can
Right.
maybe provide a little bit of guidance or just like perspective on what life is like as you get into your later 20s. But also, like the point of the podcast is like showing people that there are so many different phases. Even if we're the same age, we might be at completely different parts of our lives in different areas, and that's okay. And I think for me, I know a lot of it is finding the balance in terms of like showing my full self in all of these different areas of my life is something that I get full anxiety over, and I'm just starting to heal like over the last few weeks. So that's something I want to talk about, but
Yes,
that's a
same.
big topic. And I think that's something that kind of we related over, and that kind of sparked the idea for this podcast is like, what does an it girl mean? And it's, for me, it's like being able to be every version of myself in every area of my life, and like letting that be okay, and just accepting my full self for who I am. And that's a journey that I'm currently still on, but if I can help people like even a little bit relate to that, or get through moments in their lives where they're going through that too, then I think we've done something good. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the exact same way, and that's exactly where I am in my life too, of just wanting to be more open and vulnerable, wanting to be authentic, and really just figuring out who I am, and really just kind of rewriting the story that I've had for the past 27 years of who I used to be and those insecurities, and just trying to like hide and protect parts of myself. And I feel like being able to have these conversations with you again, because we're so similar, and I feel like we're always going through like the same types of things, it's going to be not only healing, but I just feel like such a good message for anyone listening.
I'm so excited. It's going to be so good. Do you want to jump into a little bit about like what we're currently going through in our lives right now?
Sure. How about you start? It's a lot for me
Okay.
right now.
That's good though. And like we can share as much or as little as we want, but I think even over time we'll get more comfortable with like our audience and sharing what we want to share.
Yeah.
So for me right now, I can touch on some highs and lows. So, some highs for me right now, I moved to California back in the fall. So, like in November, I moved to LA, and that's been like a really big high for me. Like, I feel like I'm finally in an environment where I feel really good. My anxiety's been a lot lower. I'm getting more sunshine. I'm being more social. I've made so many new friends here. And I feel like I'm kind of starting that phase of my life that I always dreamed about. Like younger me would be like, oh, I can't wait to have my own place someday. And I can't wait to be in a place in life where, I don't know, I can just live somewhere that I love and have a big group of friends and be more confident. And I'm finally starting to like reach that phase of my life. And it's so exciting. And then there are so many other areas where I feel like I'm flopping. And I guess that's okay. It is okay. And yeah,
It
sorry.
is. And well, no, that's what our podcast is about. Like, we it's about really finding the confidence in yourself. Like, we are the it girls, but we're balanced, you know. We're gonna have those really hard times, and we're also gonna have amazing wins. And it's really just about finding that balance in life, because I've realized it's like you can't have the highs without the lows, you know what I mean? So we're all just trying to figure it out, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
that's so true. And it's like my life coach always says, he's like, this is just a human experience. Like, we're going through a human experience, and part of that experience is experiencing the highs and the lows, and that's just
Hmm.
part of life. And it's I think for me a lot about letting go of judgment toward myself. That was a really big healing piece for me, and I'm still working on, but a lot of it was like, oh, I have anxiety and I thought I got over that. And now I'm judging myself for having anxiety. And now I'm sad because I'm judging myself. And there are all of these added layers to it that didn't even need to be there to begin with. And so for
Yeah.
me, a lot of it's like releasing judgment and just letting myself be my full self and accepting myself for who I am. So, yeah, so I'm excited about that aspect of it. And I think so my high point was probably moving to LA and getting my own place for the first time were like my two big highlights of this past year.
That's
And
awesome.
I know it's really exciting. And then I would say like my low point, or like the things that I'm working on, or kind of what I've been saying, like accepting myself fully for who I am and letting people in different parts of my life see my full self. And that has been so hard because I realized I've had so much control over my life, where I have all these different people who I know from different parts of my life. I have my work, and I have coaching clients that I work with, and I do photography, and I have my friends from high school, and I have my friends from college, and I have my friends from New York, and I have my friends from LA. And oh my gosh, what else? Like, so many different places. And I am a slightly different version of myself in every area because I like people to see me in a certain way. And I'm finally just letting myself like realize that and accept that, because I wasn't aware of it. Like, I didn't even know I was doing it. And so now, which I'm going to talk about in a bit, but now that the show that I was on came out, it forced me to show my full self to all these areas, all these people who I
Oh
didn't
my
want them to
god.
see the fucked up version of me. I didn't want people to see me crying and anxious and blah, 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 because I had this like facade where I wanted to be perfect all the time. And it broke that
I'm
down. I didn't
freaking
get a
out.
choice.
I'm literally freaking out. No, because it's like, it's literally so similar. And not to cut you off, like, I'll do my whole spiel next, but like, I'm literally going through the same thing. And it's so crazy. And I
Okay,
think
wait,
it's
wait.
because,
No, I was
wake
just going to
up.
say, we haven't talked about this, so I'm excited to hear.
No, so I don't know. My whole spiel is like, I feel like I'm literally not the same person that I was when the pandemic started. And like, so many good things have happened, but I've also had a lot of like low moments. So for example, like from 2020 till now, you know, I like bought a condo, and like I'm a homeowner, and like I've done so well in my career, and like, you know, I've been able to like accomplish a lot of things, and I like feel so blessed. And but then on the other side, I'm like really kind of struggling to find out like who I really am and how to like actually um share myself authentically with others, because I felt like, just as you mentioned, I was always trying to like perform and like be cool and all this stuff. And then a lot of stuff kind of came up for me where I realized I had like a lot of shame that I was like hiding, in terms of like, well, it all kind of came crashing down last summer. Like, honestly, a year ago, last July was like the hardest month of my life. I had such severe anxiety that it was like physically taking over my body. You know what I mean? Like, I was going through it. I was in a lot of pain, emotional, physical pain. And I was able to get myself out of that, but I had to do a lot of work on myself and be like, okay, what is wrong here? Like, what's the real root, the real triggers? And I just realized that like I was like living not authentically. You know, last July I stopped drinking. You know, I'm kind of like sober curious now, and like I was so afraid to put that label on myself, and I was trying to be like, okay, how do I still hang out with my friends if I'm not drinking? Or like, how do I like, how do I do this? You know what I mean? And even with like my relationships, that's something I want to really learn and heal from and try to get better at, and like attract a romantic partner. I've been single for many years, and so it's just a lot of stuff where like I was hiding those parts of myself, and like out of shame and just trying to like put on this facade that like I'm so cool. And it's like I realized that a lot of people around me, like, they didn't know me and my core. And that's why I love this podcast, because I want people to see that part of me and really own parts of who I am and like what I'm going through. So I relate to you so much.
Oh, I'm so excited. And even you saying like trying to find the balance of having relationships and friendships but not drinking, like literally the balance it girl. Like that's what that is. We're trying to find the balance in our lives but still remaining like ourselves and loving that part of ourselves and accepting that part of ourselves. And what I've noticed is that when I have loved and accepted all of the pieces of me, and I'm just starting to do this over the last like few weeks, like really working on it with my coach, but people have loved me in return, and I don't think there was a reason to be scared. Like, I think I was afraid of rejection, and I still am a little bit. Like, oh, if people see all of these pieces of me, what if they don't love me anymore? And I had a moment where the show came out, and people saw this shitty piece of me I didn't want them to see, and they loved me and supported me more than they probably ever have, because I was more vulnerable with them than I'd ever been, because they saw a vulnerable part of me I didn't often show people. So I'm excited to do this again. Like, this is another area where I get to be vulnerable and like show people a side of me that I don't often feel comfortable showing. And it's healing for me to just like open up and be more vulnerable. So I think this is going to be like good for us. This is like therapy.
I was just gonna, I'm like, not only is this just like fun for us, because this is like our passion and like our hobby, but it's also gonna be so healing, because everything you just said, I was like, wow, that's where I want to be. Like, I want to be accepted as I really am, and not for like the Leeza that that my perfectionism like kind of forces me to be. So I love that so much. Beautiful.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I'm so excited for us. This is going to be amazing. And it's going to be so cool to watch back on this first episode, like 20 episodes from now, and be like, look how far we've come. Look at the changes we've made. Look what's happened in our lives. And I know I love listening to podcasts and seeing people's like personal evolution. And so I'm just excited to see what happens in our lives and how things change over the coming months. So this will be really cool. It's like a little diary of our lives.
Yeah, it really is. So can you tell us a little bit, because you kind of mentioned it. I don't know if you want to get into the full details or not. But what major thing just happened in your life, Liv?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, you know what's so funny? I was so excited to record this podcast, but so nervous to talk about the show because I haven't talked about it. And it was one of those things that I was like avoiding. Like, I literally was like, maybe if I pretend like it never happened, no one will ever watch it and no one will ever know it was me. And I can just move on with my life and be fine. And that didn't happen. A lot of people saw it and a lot of people knew it was me. And it turned out fine. Like, a lot of people still loved and supported me. The people in my life who I know and care about still loved and supported me. So that was good. Of course. But do you have, oh my gosh, should I just talk about it? Do you have specific like questions for me, or should I, the only thing that I feel like is interesting is like how I got on the show, because people don't know about that. You only see like a little glimpse of me.
Yeah. So yeah. Wait, I actually want to make a comment first of all, because I definitely want to hear the story, but it was funny how you were saying that like you're kind of realizing now, like through healing, that you want to be seen and like loved for who you are. And it's literally like the universe was like, we're going to put you on the thumbnail on the biggest streaming platform in the world. Like, it's just like so funny. It's like you cannot hide. So I just think it's really crazy.
Isn't that so crazy? It literally felt like a lesson. It felt like a lesson from the universe. It was so crazy. Yeah. And what I thought it was the universe handing me like my dream job. Like, here, you get to be on TV and you're going to be whatever. You can start your own business, be an entrepreneur, be in entertainment. Like, I've always kind of enjoyed those things. And I thought it was just, I thought it was like a manifestation of that. And it actually turned out to be a lesson in healing and letting people like see other parts of me that I had been hiding, and accepting and loving myself, and like building confidence within me. And a lot of it also has been like knowing who I am so strongly that it doesn't matter if I get mean messages, people calling me a spoiled bitch and blah, blah, blah. Like, me knowing at my core who I am has kept me grounded enough so that anyone can say anything else or write anything and I feel like grounded in me. But I don't know how people who are actual like famous people do it, because I probably got like 20 mean messages and that felt like a lot to deal with. So, but it's been good. It's been hard. Like healing. It's hard, but it was actually like, that was, I think, what the lesson was. And it's been healing in a lot of ways. So so I was on a show called Snowflake Mountain, and I was on it. Well, actually, should I not? Maybe I shouldn't say spoilers. I'll just say I was on the show. I won't say like for how long or whatever.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, where do I start? This is so. I was
Yeah.
trying to.
How did this come about? How did you get on the show? I want to hear.
Okay, so this is kind of a crazy story, and it's kind of related, I think, to our podcast because I know both of you and I love like manifestation and personal development. So this goes all the way back. I'll tell I have two parts of the story that I really like telling. This goes all the way back to like the beginning of 2021. So I had just finished watching an episode of The Bachelor. I want to say it was Matt James' season, I think, was like around like early 2021, like probably right after New Year's. And I went to bed. I had watched it with my family. It was during COVID. I was living at my parents' house in Ohio. And I just finished watching the episode with my family, went to bed, and I had the thought come up. I was like, how cool would it be to be on a reality show? Like to kind of just check it off the bucket list as like a once in a lifetime kind of thing. How cool would that be? And then immediately I got the thought that was like, Olivia, you're not cute enough to be on TV. You're not cool enough to be on TV. No one would ever like you. You would be so embarrassing. No one would want to watch you. All these thoughts came up. And then my personal development brain, because over the last like year before that, I really started getting into personal development. My coaching brain was like, oh, those are limiting beliefs. Like those are some blocks that you just, put up for yourself. And so I played this little game in my mind and I was like, okay, what if for the next like 5 or 10 minutes, I'm alone in my room? What if I just let those limiting beliefs go and fully believe for like 5 to 10 minutes that I could be on a reality show? And I just like, what if I really let myself believe it fully for like 5 minutes, and then I let all of my limiting beliefs come back? Everything that I was thinking before can come back to me, but for 5 minutes I let it all go and believe with my whole entire heart that it's real and it's going to happen for me. And so I closed my eyes and I just sat there and I did like a visualization. I just closed my eyes and I fully pictured myself being on a reality show, and I actually saw a picture of me like on a screen, walking across the screen, and there was a Netflix logo in the corner. And I remember seeing that, and it felt so real. Like when I was watching this play out in my mind, I was like, oh my God, I'm on TV. Like it felt so real. And I love, we're both like this. We both love visualizations, manifestations.
It's my jam. I love it.
I know. So I just let myself believe it. I was like, who cares? I'm alone in my room. No one, if it's the most embarrassing thought in the world, no one will ever know. Now everyone's going to know because I'm saying it. But I let myself believe it. I was holding a tiger's eye crystal, which I don't know much about crystals, but some lady gave it to me from a crystal shop, and she's like, be really careful with this. Like whatever you believe will come true. So I was holding that, did the visualization, and I opened my eyes and was like, whoa, that was so cool to like fully embody and believe something that I didn't think was possible for myself, to like let myself picture it and believe it. So I let that go. I went to bed, forgot about it, like was not holding on to it. Just like, it was like a 5-minute thing and I let it go. Then the next morning I wake up, of course, immediately open Instagram because I'm addicted to social media. And I go to my DMs and I have a message request. And at the time I never really got message request. It was just a little like blue, like request one. So I click on it and it looks like spam, but it says casting now for a new like reality TV series. Want the chance to go on a trip of a lifetime this summer, blah, blah, blah. And I go to delete it. I like click on delete and it's like, are you sure you want to delete this message? And I'm about to click yes. And then I remember, I'm like, oh my gosh, last night I did a visualization that I was on a show and I woke up and I had a message saying like casting now. And I was like, even if this is spam, like how cool is that? That I just like had the thought last night and woke up to that message in the morning. So I canceled it.
Insane.
I know, it was crazy. So I canceled it and I didn't delete it. And then I go to the girl's profile who messaged me and I can see that one person who I follow follows her. And it was Harry Jowsey, who was on Too Hot to Handle. And he followed her on Instagram, this girl who messaged me. So immediately I'm like, oh, is this legit? Like, why? Yeah. So I was like, why would Harry Jowsey follow this girl if it wasn't legit? So all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to message her back. Like last night I did this visualization. This morning, this girl messages me. So she messages me back, blah, blah, blah. There was like a form to fill out. I got a preliminary like phone interview with someone, and then it would be like weeks and months where I wouldn't hear anything. Then I'd get another Zoom interview. Then a long time where I wouldn't hear anything. I'd have another interview. And it went back and forth for a long time until the summer when we actually filmed it. So I got chosen for it. I got picked to like, you know, film at my house. They flew people out to do an interview with me and my family. And then they flew me out to England and we filmed the show. And like that was kind of how it happened, but it was all during COVID. So like everything was on Zoom.
Wow.
And like phone calls, and it was just really wild how it all went down, but I felt like I manifested it. Like I know some people don't believe in those things, but I'm so into like kind of creating experiences in your life and letting the universe hand it to you, and it felt like that.
Of course. Like, how else could you explain literally visualizing the night before? Like, that's insane. That is so cool.
Crazy. It was really cool. And I didn't know the show was going to be on Netflix either. And in my visualization, I saw like the Netflix logo on the screen that I was on. So that was like really wild too. Out of any like network that it could have been on, it was the one that I saw in my little. Sometimes I'm like, did I manifest it or did I have like a That's So Raven moment? I don't know.
I know, right? It's like, was this a premonition? No, but I actually want to know, like, so what did you know going in and what didn't you know? I think that's a question that everyone's kind of interested in.
Yeah, I didn't know what the show would be. So I kind of agreed to not knowing what it would be. I had some like ideas. Like I started getting bad feelings that it would be something like outdoorsy, like wilderness, and that's just, I'm really bad with those things. It's not really my thing, and that's probably why I got picked for the show looking back, but I didn't know that because, you know, they asked us like, do you like the woods? Do you like hiking and camping? Do you like luxury resorts and villas? So like they would ask both, but I was like, oh my gosh, why did they ask me if I own hiking boots? But then they also asked me if I really like luxurious things. So like maybe it could be this, maybe it could be that. So I really did not know what the show was going to be. I knew they were specifically looking for people who were living at home because in my mind, I thought it was going to be like, we want to send people who are living at home off to like a big like fun show. I don't know. And they kind of pitched it as like a personal development show where it would be like a personal transformation, which I'm really into. But, you know, TV has its like its ways about things. So, you know, it didn't end up being what I thought it would be. And I don't think, as far as I know and the people I've spoken to, none of us knew what the show was going to be. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And the contract didn't say anything like specific about what type of show it would be. It just covered all like bases. So yeah, I had no idea.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. That's like such a big leap. And like, I feel like you should I don't know, you should be proud of like how courageous you were to even move forward, because like you said, you had those limiting beliefs of like, you know, you not being able to be a reality star, like just be on TV in general. So it's like the fact that you really went for it, I think in itself is something so proud, like something you should be so proud of.
Thank you. That's so nice. Yeah. And I think, so I have like an anxiety disorder. I have really bad anxiety. And something that a lot of people don't know is that it was really, really hard for me to go on the show. So I guess I skipped over all of that part. But when I was doing the interview process, it got to a point where I decided I don't want to do the show anymore. My anxiety was getting really bad, and I had this bad feeling that I wasn't going to like the show. So I quit the show probably 2 or 3 times, and then they would call me back and be like, we want you. You're going to be amazing.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, I take full, like, responsibility. Like, I chose to go on the show. No one can, you know, it's no one's fault that I went on the show. But for me to do it was so big. Like, even though I only got to a certain point, it was so hard for me to even, like, get on the airplane to go to Atlanta to fly to London. I was having panic attacks. I was crying every single day. I felt so torn between going, because it felt like, if Netflix calls you and asks you to go on a show, like, how do you say no? You know what I mean? Like, how do you turn that down and not go the rest of your life wondering what would have happened if I had gone? And so I remember my dad drove me to the airport to actually fly to the show. And I didn't even pack my bags. My mom packed my luggage for me because I was crying and having a panic attack. And I was like, I'm not going. And she's like, I'm just going to pack a little bit for you. And in case you decide to get on the plane, we'll have this like ready to go. Oh my God, it was so nice. My sister, everyone was like, come on, you're going to do it. You're going to be great. And I was like, you guys, I cannot do it. My anxiety. It was like, for people who have anxiety,
I know.
It can be like crippling. And like you were saying, physical symptoms, like physically shaking, physically feeling frozen. I was just so scared, especially just not knowing what the show would be. And even to just go on a show in general, I think is nerve wracking, but then to also not know what you're going to do. And to have an anxiety disorder, I had a lot of things in my way. So I remember I got to the airport and my dad was like, what if you just go to your gate? Like, it was literally like these baby steps. It was like, we'll just pack you a luggage and see if you wake up in the morning and go. And then my dad's like, what if I just drive you in the direction of the airport and we'll just like see if you get out of the car? Like, my anxiety was so bad.
They're so supportive.
Oh my God, I know. They're so supportive. And I'm so like, I can be such a baby with my anxiety, but it feels so real. Like it's like I go into fight or flight.
It is real.
Yeah. So I was literally in a really, really anxious place. My dad drove me to the airport and he's like, what if you just walk to your gate? Like, check your bag, walk to your gate. You don't even have to get on the plane. Like, we made it into these baby steps. And so checked my bag. I had my carry-on. I walked to my gate and I was like the last person there because of course I'd been crying all morning, stalling, saying I'm going to go, saying I'm not going to go. I'm pretty sure the producers like didn't think I was getting on the plane at all because I kept texting them like, I'm not coming. Like, I can't do it. My anxiety is so bad. And then, oh my gosh, what happened? So then I'm the last person on the plane and it was a connecting flight. So I went from Cincinnati, where I'm from, to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to London. So I'm getting on the plane to Atlanta. I have my carry-on with me and the flight attendant is like, sorry, ma'am, there's no more room in the overheads. You have to check this bag and it will check to your final destination. But it was my carry-on and it had like my computer in it. It had my fluffy pillow, it had my CBD oil, it had my coloring books, like all the things for my anxiety were in this bag and it was the only thing I had. And I was like, I have to have this bag with me. This can't get checked to London because I need it for the next flight. And she was like, you either need to like check this bag to London or get off of this plane because you are not putting this in an overhead. Like, this is not coming on the flight with you. And I am like shaking.
Oh my God.
And my voice just gets... Yeah, so my voice was shaky, and I was like, oh, this is a sign I'm not supposed to go because I'm not flying without anything. Like, without any of my things, I'm not going to fly to Atlanta, then fly to London. And so I was like, it's fine. I didn't really want to go anyway. So I just walk off the plane. I literally walk off of the plane. I'm going up, like, the bridgeway that connects the plane to the gate. I'm walking up it. I'm right at the top of it. And this flight attendant comes on to like close the doors. And she's like, what's wrong? Because I'm just like crying as I'm walking out. And she goes, she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, they couldn't put my bag in the overhead bins. And I needed this for my next flight, but it's fine. I didn't really want to go anyway. Like, I don't need to go. It's fine. I'm not going. It's a sign I'm not supposed to go. Like, I was just all over the place crazy. And she goes, you're going to be fine. Come with me. Come on. We're going to go. And I was like, no, I'm not going. And she goes, come on. We're going. Come on. And she like put her arm around me and walks me back down the bridge, back onto the plane. She took my bag and put it up with all the flight attendants' things, sat me in my chair, gave me water and tissues. And she's like, you're going to be great. You're going to go. She had no idea where I was going, but she's like, you're going to be great. You're going to go. You've got this. And I was crying. Now I'm crying because she was so nice. I'm like, this is an angel on this airplane. And then, of course, my crazy brain's like, well, now I'm supposed to go because this lady, like, I literally left the plane and she walked me right back on. And so that was my, like, my other crazy part of the story is, like, I wasn't going to go at all. So then, of course, once I got to Atlanta, I'm like, I'm already halfway there. So then I go from Atlanta to London. They had, like, people pick us up with like our names on a sign. And then they drove us to like the filming location. Then we had to quarantine for like 10 days because of COVID. So I was in a hotel for a while.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I was in a hotel for 10 days and it wasn't guaranteed I'd get picked for the show at this point either. I was still like in the running and they brought more people to actually be like standbys, I think, than they would actually choose for the show in the end. So in my head, I was like, maybe I'll still just be a standby, and like, which is horrible to say.
You did not want to make it.
But That's so bad. But I want to say like I'm so grateful for the experience, and I really feel like I might have been picked because they could tell like I'm an emotional person. I repeatedly said I don't like outdoor activities. Like I can see why I got picked for the show. But I want to say that I'm grateful for it because I don't want people to think like, oh, she sounds so ungrateful and she didn't even want to go and blah, blah, blah. Because I think part of me was like, this is such a cool opportunity. I should do it. And then the anxious part of me is like, you're not doing it. This is terrifying. So it was like this internal battle. But I'm so grateful like for the opportunity. It was truly like a once in a lifetime experience. And it's cool to now looking back, it's cool to be able to say I got to have an experience like that. So, yeah, so then during the quarantine, they called us every day, and then finally they're like, we picked you, and you're coming, and this is the day we're going to go film. And then we did it, and I went to that day, and that's what happened.
It's so funny because, well, I watched, of course, and I know you haven't, or have you still haven't watched it? Okay.
I didn't really watch it. My sister showed me, like, pieces.
Okay. It's so just even hearing all that information is so funny because it kind of seemed like you guys just like got off a plane and you were like thrown into something. So that's super interesting. But oh my God, it's crazy that you had so many kind of obstacles, but it was like something still kind of telling you to go, which was weird, even though it might not have panned out the way you thought. So what do you think was like the lesson in it? Or like, why were you pushed to go, do you think?
Do you mean like from their end or from like the universe and like my own
just the
personal
universe
journey?
Yeah, like because like you said, like that the lady at the airport, it felt like an angel. It was like divine intervention. Was like even your parents were like, we'll pack for you, we'll drive you, it's like everyone was pushing you to go. And so what do you feel like was the reasoning for that?
I think looking back, oh my gosh, I think some of it was like overcoming anxiety, and in some ways I feel like disappointed in myself. I know I shouldn't, but I feel like if I fully overcame my anxiety, I would have like stuck it out for the whole time. So spoiler alerts, I didn't stay the whole time. But I think a lot of it was that. In some ways though, I feel really proud of myself, like you said, because all the pieces people don't know of like doing all the interviews. I couldn't decide if I wanted to go, having panic attacks, like getting on the plane, doing the quarantine, like calling my mom and crying, like truly like a child. But like all of my internal fears were coming up, and it felt really real to me.
And to face it all of it. It's so crazy.
So I think a lot of it was like facing my anxiety, and even like looking back and even realizing like I went to the first day of filming and like I got up, I went there, I did it, I filmed. I mean, that was like a 15-hour filming day, I think I did on that day. So even though people are like, I've gotten so many messages like, LOL, you left after 10 minutes, like you're such a blah, blah, blah. I did film for 15 hours, and that was really hard for me. And like, doing months of interviews, getting on an airplane, like I think if people like you, people who have experienced anxiety know it can be debilitating. And so looking back and knowing how anxious I was and seeing everything that I did, even though on the show you only see this much of it, knowing how much I did do and how much I did overcome my anxiety. And I got on airplanes, I sat through a quarantine, I went to a 15-hour filming day. Like that was big for me, and it was hard for me, and I did it anyway. And, I'm proud of myself for that. And I think there was a lesson in that for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And like, again, just like, please show yourself compassion. And I think it showed you like you are capable of doing these things. And even I feel like it proved your limiting beliefs completely wrong. Like you are pretty enough and cool enough and all the stuff to be on TV, and you were chosen, and you were able to push yourself to be in that experience, even though it was like wildly insane and uncomfortable. But, just, I feel like you have so much to take away from it, and like, it's positive. Trust me.
Thank you. And I feel like another thing that I learned was like, which is a big topic that I'm sure we'll talk about in another episode, but like learning to trust your gut and say no if you don't want to do something was really hard for me. I was really torn back and forth because a lot of people were like, you're going to be amazing, you can do it. And my gut was like, I don't want to do it. But I couldn't tell if that gut instinct was anxiety making me not want to do it, or if it was just genuinely not a good fit for me. And to this day, I really don't know what it was. I don't know if I should have done it, if I should not have done it, but it happened. And I think there are lessons learned from it and positive outcomes that still came from it. But I think looking back, I'm like, oh, I remember coming off the show and crying and being like, I'm never doing anything that other people tell me to do just because I want to look cool, or I don't want to disappoint people, or I don't want to say no because out of FOMO or whatever. Like, if I don't want to do something and I feel that gut instinct and that intuition that's like, you don't need to do this, there are other better things in life for you, then I'm going to follow that. So, but it's okay. Like, I think my
Yeah.
life's still going to be good even though I did it, but I think my life would have been good without it too. So it's just a lesson in like learning to trust yourself, I think, even if all these people around you are like, do it, do it, do it, do it. But
Yeah. So many lessons learned. It's
there's a
incredible.
lot. Yeah. It was a
Yeah.
big life experience, I think, much more than just the show itself. It was like a lot of internal healing and like lessons learned. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of like, I guess, all about like me and what happened. I don't know. Is that kind of it? Do you have any other questions for me? I feel like I was on it for this much time, so I don't really know if there's that much to really ask.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much we could talk about, but that's all I really cared about, is just like how you were feeling about it and just really what you learned, and like obviously how you got that experience. But it's actually so mind-blowing to just know that you were able to manifest that and push beyond your limiting beliefs, but also learn a lot of lessons at the same time. And I don't know, it's just so much you got out of that experience, even though it was probably really hard in the moment, and especially when it first came out. But I'm so proud of you, and it's so cool. I think it's so cool to, I text my friends, I'm like, Olivia's on that show, like, I know her. So, it's cool. Like, I just think it's cool, and I think you should just be proud of what happened.
Aw, thank you. My next goal, if you ever want to do a show, I would love to see you on a show. I feel like you would be a million times better than me. And I have certain friends in mind now that I've done a show who I'm like, you would be so good on that. Like, you would thrive in that environment. And I know you would. So maybe if it's on your bucket list, we can manifest that together.
It's funny that, and I don't mean to like, I'm not changing subjects, but a little bit, but when you were talking about your limiting beliefs of like not feeling, I don't know, cute enough or cool enough to be on TV, like I had the same things. I remember like when I was growing up, I always wanted to have like, the Leeza show, or have like, did you ever watch the Tyra Banks show growing up?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay. So I did, and I literally, like, that was like my dream. Like, I wanted that exact show. I thought it was so cool. And I would like every day after high school, I would go home and watch it. And, but again, it was like, and we'll talk about more of the trauma on an upcoming podcast. But, I grew up having like such bad eczema, and like I still have eczema today. And it was just something where I mean, obviously there's not a lot of representation on TV of like people with skin diseases. You have to look perfect when you're on TV and all these things. And so I just never thought it was a possibility for me to like really live out my dreams of like being on TV, and even right now, like even this, doing the video component of our show, I also think is going to be so healing for me. And like, in terms of just being seen, because it's like my spiritual coach like 2 years ago was telling me to start a YouTube channel. I was like, no, you know what I mean? Like, just that's why I started a podcast in the first place. Cause I was like, oh, I don't have to be seen. Like, I can just look however, and I can just record. And I realized that was still me, like playing small. So it's really interesting that like you had those same feelings, and I love how you really like pushed forward, and like I really hope to do the same thing for myself somehow.
I'm so excited for you. And I feel like that's so common, especially I'm kind of the same way with showing up on camera. It's like, it seems so silly to just like turn on your Zoom camera or what we're recording on and just like be on. But there are so many like internal emotions associated with like seeing yourself on camera, and so many, like you said, so much trauma that can come up. All of our insecurities are literally being seen. And so you're right. Like, this is going to be hugely healing in that journey. So I'm excited for you. And also, you look beautiful. Like, there's no reason to not turn your camera on, but I know that it's like more of an internal thing.
Yeah, I know. And then that's the thing too. It's like, you kind of have, it's like that balance of like trying to be confident and like, but also being compassionate to yourself when you feel insecure, and just like, I don't know, it's a process. But I do feel like so much better in my skin nowadays, and I feel good. But it's just those little thoughts always creep up when you're like, on camera, and you're just like picking yourself apart a little bit. But no, I'm here. I'm ready to be seen authentically.
I'm so excited for you. I feel like that's kind of why I didn't watch the show too, because I didn't want to, which I'm like being fully honest right now because I'm a balanced it girl. Like I don't have my shit together at all, but I didn't want to see my insecurities on TV. Like it's one thing to like watch
Yeah.
myself on whatever, an Instagram story or someone's Instagram post that they posted of me and I'm like, ew, I don't like how I look in that. But to just know how many people saw me in that situation, it was like a lot of it was about how I looked. Like, and also knowing that I was crying and having anxiety and all these things I didn't want people to see of me. It's like very similar. It's like when you turn the camera on, when you show your full self, it can feel so freaking scary. And so I think part of my healing is probably going to be eventually having to watch that and just be like, that's me. And I still love myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that reminded me of that too, because it's just, it can be really vulnerable to like not only post yourself, but then like watch it back and be like, oh my gosh, I posted that and all these people are watching it and that's what I look like and that's what I sound like and that's what I said and that's what I did. And it's like, it can be scary.
Yeah, I know, especially with those HD cameras that they have. Oh my God. But no, you looked so good on the show and there's nothing to worry about. But yeah, it's nerve wracking. I know. I can't imagine. So you're really brave. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I think this will be amazing. I'm so excited to do this with you. Like, I feel.
I know.
Actually,
I feel like there's so much to talk about, and we just have like so much. I don't know. Every episode is going to be amazing. Like, I'm so happy and excited to do this with you.
We have so much to touch on. And also, now that we're going to be posting this on YouTube, I think people can even like comment and let us know what topics do you want to hear about, because you and I are so into like personal development, manifestation, setting goals, bettering yourself, like the ups and downs of life, like sharing our vulnerable things, our like trauma maybe that we've gone through, anything that people want to know or relate to. I think will be really fun to talk about, and we want feedback. Like we want to form a community of people who want to like chat with us. So connect with us because we want to hear from you. Yeah.
Exactly. And be kind. We are sensitive girlies, water signs. But no, I'm excited. I think it's going to be such a safe I think it's going to be such a safe space, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go on this adventure with you. So, yeah, if you guys are listening or wherever you're watching this, please subscribe, support us. We'll have our Instagram linked as well, and we can't wait to talk to you guys again.
Woo, I'm so excited. We did it. We freaking did it.
We did it.
We're Elwoods. We did it.
I know.
Love it. Oh,
okay. Should I stop?
Bye, guys. Yeah, I think we did it. Okay.
Bye.